More so than any other form of media, video games can be whatever we want of it. While a movie can definitely take liberties with its structure and the way it's shot, it can never have the level of interactability that video games provide. What this means is that video games don't have to follow any guidelines. If they go too far out of the box, this could potentially hurt sales and downloads. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the game is bad, just different. Which is why today we'll be taking a look at 3 unconventional games. Dear Esther. If I had to describe Dear Esther as anything, it would be minimalistic. On the visual end of things, it's an absolutely gorgeous game, but its gameplay takes a step back, instead focusing on an extremely open-ended story. Not much, if anything, is explained to the player. All you're allowed to do is explore the linear path while listening to what appears to be written letters. Dear Esther isn't much of a game. In fact, I'd call it an experience instead, since it only lasts about an hour and a half. It is going to cost you $15 at full price, so please enjoy this sample of what the game has to offer before you make a purchase yourself.
Dear Esther, the gulls do not land here anymore. I've noticed that this year they seem to shun the place. Maybe it's the depletion of the fishing stock driving them away. Perhaps it's me. When he first landed here, Donnelly wrote that the herds were sickly and their shepherds the lowest of the miserable classes that populate these Hebridean islands. 300 years later, even they have departed.
Flow. While Dear Esther was more about appreciating the beauty of what it has to offer, Flow was more about the exploration. A lot like Dear Esther, the player's main objectives is to explore, but in this case, everything is nonsensical. The mood is extremely oppressive, and the dreamlike state of the world gives no explanations, only a silence that beckons the player to explore more. The main objective, if there is one, is to collect these 25 effects. They range in usefulness. Some are completely awful, and others have small effects like being able to shoot enemies. The only effect that I would say is really mandatory to enjoying the game is the broom, so try to find it as soon as possible. There is a story here, but it's extremely vague, and it will take a keen eye to figure out how to access hidden areas. Much like Dear Esther, I think a sample will do far more justice than anything else I would say. The one thing that I can give Flow credit for over Dear Esther is the fact that it is completely free, so pick it up if you want to try something different. Off. Off is by far the most conventional game on this list. It features an actual combat system, leveling, and a clear story. So the question is, what makes it so unconventional compared to everything else? One is its art style. Everything has this hand-drawn aesthetic, and while it looks creepy, there really isn't anything sinister behind it. The game is pretty upfront with its intentions. The real reason to enjoy this game is its unique world design. The 4 zones feel like they're ready to fall apart at any moment. For example, the only way to get metal is to raise a cow and extract metal that grows within its stomach. The rest of the unused metal is slabbed onto the ground to form more land. Another example would be the smoke mines. The inhabitants of the 4 zones have nothing to breathe besides smoke. That smoke is mined and then bottled. Now this is an interesting idea on its own, but the game keeps reinforcing it by making a gasping for air sound whenever you talk to anyone. Off is a very unique and cool game, so I'd recommend you give it a shot, and it's completely free like Flow. So with that, I hope you give these unconventional games a try. Definitely check them out, and if you aren't willing to buy them or pick them up, give them a watch online. These creators do deserve some credit for their work. Thank you for watching.